Good evening, campers. I hope you're having yourself a fabulous Friday so far. I'm pretty sure I probably won't be seeing any Tigers fans on here tonight. Brisbane Tigers playing a very close final by the sounds of it so far, which is good. Footy finals are back. It means that a bit of normality's creeping back in. It's all good stuff, gang. There's only positives from here, I would have hoped, I would have thought. But let me know how you guys are traveling out of 10. As always, let us know your scores on the doors. How's your week been out of 10? Let me know. Post your scores in the comment section and tell everybody about any of the wins that you've had over the course of the week. Now, with this being the last show of the week for me now, so Friday nights are going to be my last show of the week. I'm going to leave my weekend to the gang and the fam and whatnot, and have some movie nights uninterrupted with my daughter, which should be fun. I want to try and spend this Friday night just helping a few people to try and do a little bit of reflection without being too camp and a bit too airy-fairy, but also focus on how they're going to win over the weekend as well. Because, we've still got a couple of days left. And I know I've spoken to a number of people that I've done work with and whatnot. They've really jam-packed their weekends full of action, which is really, really good to see. So I want to see and feel and hopefully help a few of you people, that especially the ones that may have had a bit of a rough day or a rough end to the week or anything like that. I'm hoping that I can try and give you guys a nudge to see the silver lining if you are in a bit of a cloud. But look, looking at the scores that I'm getting so far, I mean, jeepers, we've got an 11 out of 10, a 12 out of 10, a 12 out of 10. Sounds like there's been a few people that have had a great week this week, which is awesome. My friends, if you've had any challenges, though, please make sure you post them in the comment section below. But also, you can text me, 0451 085 998. You can reach me with any of the questions that you may have. Phone's here, ready to go. If you do want to send me anything anonymously, more than welcome to do that as well. So, gang, like I said, I really want to try and help a few of you to reflect and make sure you take everything with the same level of importance, both your wins and your losses, right? Or your wins and your lessons, more to the point. First thing I want to ask is, what have your wins been this week? Where were your wins this week? So for me, and hopefully this might help to put everything into a little bit of context for you. So for me, I had a number of wins. I mean, firstly, having Nick tuning on Wednesday and then Jen Trevorrow last night's show was absolutely brilliant. She did an amazing job at trying to help break some of the stigma around getting in front of the camera. And Nick pretty much made me want to move to Geelong. And I'm not even joking about that. Two really good conversations with two great people that have got great energy. And they were two really, really big wins for me. Another really cool win, I guess, was this is a bit of a silly little one, but I've had a conversation with someone that I'm really excited about having a conversation with, and this is something from a developmental point of view. That nothing might come out of it, right? But the fact that I've even had the conversation or been entertained with a potential opportunity is really exciting, really, really exciting. And it just shows that you keep banging on the door, guys. Things can happen. It's not just this is everything. We're talking about prospecting. We're talking about social media. If you are consistent with everything that you're doing, you will start to have a few doors open for you, both physically and metaphorically. It's really crucial that. Now, what wins have you had this week? So I've seen Jazzy's listed 3 today, my friend. I wonder if that had anything to do with the real big silk shorts that you had on the video that I saw you do earlier on today, which looks really, really good fun now. By the way, so I really like what that video is going to turn out to be. Got a massive compliment. So Maxine got a massive compliment from opposition agent who told me that he's hearing all positive about me. See, that's good, right? Just because we're in competition with each other doesn't mean that you can't respect other people's abilities and be complimentary about them. There is nothing wrong with that. That for one, it shows that you've got an ownership over your skill set and your abilities and a confidence in your own capabilities, right? But it also shows a bit of the tip of the cap to other people that are going through some of the same stresses and strains and heartaches and pains, right? And it's just an empathy. I think if our profession can have a much greater degree of empathy moving forward after everything that has gone on this year, I think the profession will be a much better place. So that's amazing, Maxine. Great to hear. What else? Yeah, well, I think in Metro Melbourne, I think that's safe to say that for our residential professionals amongst us, it does feel really, really good to be back at it. So much more positive vibes. Let us not forget, though, our commercial brothers and sisters who are still clamped down and finding it very, very frustrating still. Let's make sure that this memory that we have, it's all well and good saying, I just want to forget about it. I'd like to go the opposite way and suggest that let's make sure that this memory lasts very, very long in our minds so that we stay appreciative of all of these really cool feelings about just getting back into it and all that sort of stuff, okay? And then also bearing in mind, there are still other people that are really struggling right now. Their industries, whether it's the commercial space or whether it's other industries, that are still really, really clamped down. The hospitality sector is still really in dire straits. So let us make sure that we try and hold on to this level of appreciation that we have for the jobs and the lives that we get to run every single day. I think COVID has brought the industry together. I completely agree. And that is a massive positive. And I really hope that we can keep it that way, all right? Cameron, who is one of our brothers from Commercial Land, a couple of lease applications today with a couple more in the wings and all of that from the home office. My man, great job. I know that it was really frustrating for you earlier this week and to see everybody else sort of getting all excited and whatnot. Couldn't have made it feel any better. But the fact that, mate, you're chipping away and it's going to stand you in really, really good stead moving forward. Turts, a solid 8 for me. Love the new set and standing. Works for you, great body line. Mate, right, this is my kids' quiet room, right? So this is how technological I get, right? In fact, I might even show you. And it's a little bit topical, a little bit hilarious as well. A bit of a temporary setup just for the now. But you lot are currently sat on my daughter's doll's house, which is really, really big and took me about 3.5 hours to make and for Christmas. But it's a really good height for this. And then we've got this really dark blue background and it just really works. I was doing some auctioneering training earlier today with the legend of the game, of the profession, of the craft, Robert Tulp over in New Zealand, one of the best auctioneers in the entire world. And we were having a bit of a decent session, just doing a training session, sparring session. And he said that this background was awesome. And of course, Jen, learning from Jen last night, I think this could be the new permanent home for the Ask Andy show, if you ask me. Mark Cleland, sod. Yep. Good. Maxine, years to come, we'll be explaining to new PMs how hard these times were, but we survived. Wonderful stuff. And Maxine has also messaged Gen T today, and we'll be doing a video promo myself too. Good work. I want to be one of the first to see it. Like from the naughty corner. Absolutely right, mate. What else? Other wins that we've had, gang. Let's just reflect on some of the wins that we have had. I mean, there's still been plenty of frustrations. I've got to have a yarn to some of the good people at the RAIB yesterday morning. That was really cool. We got to talk about buyers and realising the potential of buyers on yesterday morning's webinar, which was really nice. Hosted wonderfully, emceed brilliantly by the amazing Sophie Leishman. She's probably not listening to this because she's probably sick of me from yesterday, but it was her first crack at emceeing and actually presenting people and whatnot, which is really good for her. Now, next thing that I want to really reflect on is what did we learn this week? What did we learn this week? Now, Conor McGregor, UFC fighter, whether you like him or not, because there's a lot of people that are in both camps. There was one thing that he said quite early on in his career, which really resonated with me. And for one, I actually think it's one of the best things I've ever heard come out of someone in sports. And he said, look, I don't win or lose, I win or learn. Every experience is a learning experience, and I move forward from that in knowing that I'm a much better fighter as a result. Amazing, man. Absolutely phenomenal saying. And so you don't talk about wins and losses, you talk about wins and lessons. Wins and lessons. And for me, I mean, I had a pretty heavy, pretty hectic Tuesday, with obviously being the birthday of what would have been the birthday of my old man, and I learned a few things about myself that day. I reckon. Had a chat to my mental health PT though today, and there's one thing that I reckon there's plenty of people that are falling into the very, very same or very similar trap to what I kind of fell into sort of last week, and it was about how you judge yourself. Now, I had this barometer on myself for a very, very long time where, you know, it's very clear cut. You either win or you lose. This is my old vernacular. You win or you lose. And even my wins didn't feel overly spectacular. I think what we all need to do is recalibrate the barometer through which we judge our own performance, through which we critique ourselves. I think look, I know it sounds cliche, and I know a load of people have said this and talked about this and whatnot, when this year's been so tremendously different. But I think we really need to sit back and look at how we are judging ourselves, because we would have been judging ourselves very similarly for our entire lives up to this point, because we haven't had anything like this come about, right? I mean, you've got, unless you're in, you know, bushfire territories, and then they're obviously tremendously significant events there. But it's just something that I've had a really good conversation with my mental doctor about how realistically, this isn't giving yourself some leeway. We can actually allow ourselves to be judged internally on a few different axes. It's not just win or lose. It's win or a degree of a win, or recovery, or you know, prevention of loss, or those sorts of things, right? And it's a big sort of win for me, and it's a big lesson for me. And I think it's fair for ourselves to give ourselves more than just black and white criteria as to how, if we've been successful or not. And we're talking purely internally now, guys. So I don't know, man. It's just a really interesting concept that I would love people to have a bit of a reflection upon when it, you know, if you can over the weekend. It'd be amazing if you did. Turt. Now, I want to come back to this. Craig Turton, president of the of 100words.com.au. It's what the blue band's for on my wrist. Mate to Mate. It's a mental health charity that is Melbourne-based, Melbourne-born, by a group of mates that have got together and are really driving something tremendously positive around greater depth in communication amongst friends when it comes to mental health. All right, really, really cool. And he had one of the Hall of Famers of our game, Adrian Battieri. He had an AB on there earlier this week on Tuesday. If you haven't seen the episode, I would highly, highly encourage that you did. 100words.com.au. I'm sure it's uploaded on there now, and have a look at it, please, because it was a really, really good conversation between two guys that had a good amount of respect for each other, but two guys that, when you look at them and when you hear what they're about, you wouldn't really think that conversation would have been had by those people, by those guys. AB is one of the leaders of the profession, especially in Victoria, and one of the leading lights from an auctioneering point of view. The love that he has for the auctioneering craft is almost pretty much second to none. And the way that he created a degree of vulnerability around that conversation is something that we can all learn from. So I would highly recommend, if you're struggling for things to think about as to what you've learned this week, get on to 100words.com.au and have a watch of the internet.org.au. Sorry, mate. 100words.org.au. Thanks for correcting me. Have a look at that. 100words.org.au, and watch that interview with AB. Next week he's got Ed Smith, who is an Irish lad who's got a real estate business up in Queensland, and again, a lot of people know about Edward through social media and all that sort of jazz, because he's generally a bit of a larrikin on socials, but he's opening himself up with a pretty deep, dark sort of scenario that he found himself in earlier this year. So look, hats off to people that are open about that sort of stuff, man. It takes really, really big minerals to open yourself up in that way. Whether you're a guy or a gal, it really doesn't matter. But I think more people in the profession are coming out and talking about it a lot more. You know, Chris Hanley's championing the Real Care app, which is being launched next Tuesday via the Rise X conference, which hopefully I'll get to see a lot of you people there virtually. I'll be there from 9 a.m. till 12 p.m. And that's when the Real Care app will get launched as well. I'm really hoping that we can really sort of make some inroads from a profession point of view. And I think that will tie in with that incredible want and need from a lot of people for more empathy amongst our counterparts, amongst the professionals themselves. It's no sort of secret that we are our own worst enemy a hell of a lot of the time. And I reckon that there's enough of us now to want to really try and stamp that out to a greater degree. So, you know, but it all starts with people like AB having a conversation, Edward having a conversation, you know, my episode's on there as well from a few weeks while I was in quarantine. And gang, let's just keep having more meaningful conversations with each other. And look, if anybody wants a platform to say their story, I mean, you could reach out to me. You know, Terts is, you know, he's got some really, really good people that are working with him, but everyone's after contributions in terms of support and so on and so forth. I know that, I mean, I met Craig through Matt Scafidi, Jealous Craig Whitehorse, aka Batman. You know, so I think there's enough of us to really create this groundswell of empathy amongst the profession without losing the competitive edge, because we all like to win. We're all competitors, right? That's, you know, part of the game, and that's what we enjoy doing. But at the end of the day, that's all it is. It's a job that we hopefully provide for our families, which are way more important. So hopefully we can harness a bit of that empathy with some of these conversations. You know, let me know again what lessons you guys have had over the course of this last week, what things you have learned over the course of the journey. And then lastly, I want to know how you're going to win this weekend. How are you going to win? How are you going to win? It's an interesting question, right? Because the week's not done just yet. There's plenty of action to be had, and whether it's personal or professional. But instead of just sort of running into the weekend and doing the same thing or having that routine or what have you, maybe give yourself a little mini goal just for the weekend. How am I going to win this weekend? How can if you've had a rough week, how can I turn this? Like, really hammer that to yourself. How can I turn this week around over the next 2 days? I reckon it'd be wise of all of us. I'm the same, right? When auctions kick in, you know, when auctions do kick in, like, I'm going to be doing this every Friday night. How can I make sure that I go away with a win this weekend? And I think that's going to give me that extra little bit of drive, right, in order to succeed for all of my clients and their vendors. Just that little bit. Not that I really need any, but I think just that little bit of reflection would be a really good idea for everybody to do, so that you can, if you've had a rough week, then you can say, right, I'm going to make up for it this weekend. Or if you've had an amazing week, how you can ensure that you follow that through over the last little bit of the week. And you don't think that I've had an amazing week and then just do that. All right. It's no good. And if you're not working on the weekend, so if you're in the PM space and you've busted your ass over the course of the last few days, and you've got the weekend to chill or whatever, how can you win this weekend personally? Okay. Like, how can you have a win this weekend personally? If you're learning the guitar, can you learn a new song over the course of the weekend? If you've got kids, what is there an activity that you can do that will have create a much greater level of involvement? Maybe have a think about that, gang, because I reckon that is a really valid thing to think about and a valid thing to do just for yourself, if for nobody else. Craig, what's he saying? I'm going to get up at 5 a.m. tomorrow and go for a run. I need to kickstart myself. Well, look, chances are I'm going to be awake at 5 a.m. anyway, because my boy really has decided that sleep is an optional exercise right now. A win for me would be him sleeping past 5 a.m. That'd be amazing if he could do that for us just for once. That'd be awesome. Mate, good luck. You're a better man than me. You won't be finding me going for a run at 5 a.m. unless it's to run away to my daughter's bed so I can actually get a little bit more sleep and try and bolt from the situation that my son's created. Is Newcastle playing? Yes, we are. We are. I can't remember who we're playing now. That's frustrating. I will remember though. Is it West Brom? Can't remember. So, gang, please have a think about the wins you've had, the lessons you've learned, and then how you're going to ensure yourself having a win this weekend. How are you going to ensure that this weekend turns out to be a win for yourself, for your families, for your business? All right? Please do that, because as long as you can take everything in equal measure, take the wins and take the lessons in equal measure, because they are both there to help you move forward equally, okay? Don't get too high on your own supply either, because there's going to be, hopefully, all being well, touch wood, there'll be a few more wins kicking around over the course of the next week, especially in Metro Melbourne. But, number of sales are increasing pretty much across the board now, which is amazing. Let's not get too high on our own supply, please. Let's make sure that we do everything with a small degree of humility, whilst at the same time showing that enthusiasm that we're all really, really pumping with right now. I say we're all of the residential in Metro Melbourne and throughout the country, right? Let's have a degree of humility, but let's harness that excitement and use it to drive some real positive, constructive action for our vendors, our clients, and like I said, for our families as well. I'm going to keep harping on about that, because after all, we don't bust our arse just to bust our ass. We do it for a reason, and in that reason generally is the people that we love. So gang, I'm going to love you and leave you and go to enjoy the rest of my Friday night with my amazing better half. Thank you, by the way, to Felicity's boss, Bill Chernishoff, Bill and Karen Chernishoff, Bell Property Services, who had a 3-course dinner dropped off to our house tonight, which I thought was absolutely phenomenal. So cool. Brought some lollies for the kids, got some lollies for the kids sent across as well, which was amazing. Because my wife and her teammate in their little department broke a record. They broke a barrier. So, and true to their boss's word, they came up and produced a 3-course dinner, which I thought is absolutely amazing. So gang, just give yourself a moment to reflect on the wins, on the lessons, and then just before you go to bed, just have a think to yourself, how are you going to win this weekend? All right, my friends, I'm going to leave it there. I love you all. Thank you so much for tuning in and giving us some of your time and attention. It is greatly appreciated. But for now, you guys stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, and I'll see you on Monday night, 9 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time, with some of the auction action from the weekend, and plus any other wins that I've heard around the traps. Take it easy, gang. Love you all.